Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. We are continuing to build out some coaster stations, and today we are going to be moving on with Cedar Creek Mine Ride. And before I started building this one, I decided to finally open up the back of the park to peeps, let them wander around Frontier Town, added some path back here to finally close the loop. Hopefully this will also help with some pathfinding going forward. As I mentioned before, we're always having issues with guests getting lost in such a large park. And adding this path should hopefully help. We'll probably add some more underground paths later, but not today. But as we get guests back here, we can finally get them on some of the rides that we've opened so far, like Thunder Canyon and Antique Cars, etc. As far as Cedar Creek Mine Ride goes, you might notice we are making some changes to it similar to like what we did for Gemini, where we are changing the track type. Instead of using the in-game mine ride for this ride, which does look pretty unique and isn't awful for what the game has to offer, I am switching it to use corkscrew track and adding in some custom wooden supports. And the reason I'm doing this is because it makes the track surface itself look a bit more realistic. I do think that the custom wooden supports are a bit too dense compared to the real thing. The real supports for both Gemini and Cedar Creek Mine Ride are a little bit less dense. There isn't really a great way to do that with non-custom scenery, I don't think, unless I want to do it entirely with wooden post fences. I don't know if that would even look better, and it would take 1,000 years to do. But considering that I was still pretty happy with the way that Gemini turned out, I think we're going to stick with this for the time being and see how I like it as time goes on. Unlike the changes we made for Gemini though, I am sticking with the basic 6-seater wooden coaster trains for Mine Ride. We changed our trains to hypercoaster trains for Gemini, which looked a little bit more like the real thing, but I think for Mine Ride, wooden coaster trains actually do look a little bit more like the real thing. I could be convinced otherwise, but I spent some time looking at photos today, and I do think that these trains are going to be the best match for the real ride. And they look pretty good on this track type as well, so I am pretty happy with the way things are looking so far there. Anyway, this turned out to be another relatively quick build. I didn't make any changes at all to the track layout for Cedar Creek Mine Ride this time, as I have been doing with some rides previously, like Magnum, which took forever to edit to make it a little bit more realistic. I felt like our initial draft of Mine Ride was pretty good. There could probably be some tweaks made with the middle of the ride, but considering that it's in an isolated area all by itself, I'm not really too concerned. If we want to go back and tweak things later, not a high priority right now. Aside from that, a relatively simple build here. We have quite a bit of station building compared to normal because we have our loading and unloading building and also a separate maintenance building, which most coasters don't have. Or if they do have them, they're kind of combined into one building. But I like having it spread out as two different buildings here. It really helps sell that old western mine aesthetic that you're going for. I think it looks quite nice, both in real life and in the game. And since I was in the area, I also decided to throw down the building that has the Frontier Town restrooms in it. I have been trying a little bit harder lately to keep my guests happy so that we're keeping our numbers up. And they're often complaining about facilities, both restrooms and restaurants. And as we're letting them explore more parts of the park, I figured it was a good idea to add a bit more of those to the park. Got me curious about what this building actually is. It's just a restroom now, but you can see that there are walkways going up the sides, sort of like as if it were a skyride building. I think there used to be a second skyride. I'm not sure if that's what this is though. CP Insiders didn't really have a lot of detail on that. But it is odd for such a large building with these weird walkways at the sides just to have a restroom in it. And it's been a while since I've been back there, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Not that that's really important or anything, just something I thought about. But yeah, adding just some more restrooms here and food stalls back here as well. I'm just throwing down some placeholders for what's going to go in here in the next phase. But trying to keep the guests happy so that we're keeping them in the park. I want to see as many peeps as I can riding these rides. We're already starting to see a lot of the roller coasters get very short lines, getting very few riders as peeps get spread out and get lost and leave. So just trying to keep people in the park when I can. But anyway, I think that's going to about do it for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, if you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.